She's standing at his grave. Rain hammers down on the black umbrella above her head. Mascara streams down her cheeks, not from tears, but from the storm. Around her, 100 people in expensive suits murmur condolences that mean nothing. The headstone reads, Dominic Ashford, beloved CEO, 1985 to 2025. But here's the thing. He's not dead. He's watching her from across the cemetery, hidden behind an old oak tree, wearing a torn jacket and muddy boots. His hands tremble, not from cold, from rage, because the woman crying at his grave, she's the reason he disappeared. You're probably wondering, how does a man fake his own funeral? Better question, why would he? Hold that thought. Rewind 6 months, before the grave, before the lies, before everything shattered. Back to the moment when Dominic Ashford had everything and realized he had nothing. And sitting behind that desk, a man who can't remember the last time he felt anything. Dominic Ashford, 40 years old, CEO of Ashford Global Ventures, 12 countries, 18 subsidiaries. Net worth? Let's just say the number has too many zeros to matter. But here's what the Forbes articles don't tell you. Every handshake feels like a contract. Every smile feels rehearsed. Every conversation feels like a negotiation. His assistant knocks. Mr. Ashford, the Marino Group is on line 3. He doesn't answer. Sir? Tell them I'll call back. But sir, they've been waiting. I said I'll call back. The door closes. Silence swallows the room. Dominic stares at his reflection in the window. Suit, $8,000. Watch, $45,000. Expression, empty. When did he stop recognizing himself? He doesn't know. But somewhere between building his empire and losing his soul, Dominic Ashford became a stranger in his own skin. And the worst part? No one noticed. His phone buzzes. Text message from someone named Gregory. Board meeting in 20 minutes. Carlyle deal closes today. $340 million. Congratulations. Congratulations. Dominic stares at the word until it stops making sense. $340 million. Most people can't even imagine that number. And here he is, about to add it to an account he never checks, for a company he no longer cares about, surrounded by people who only see him as, wait, what do they see? He stands up, walks to the mirror on the wall, and looks, really looks at himself. A thought creeps in. Quiet. Dangerous. If I disappeared right now, would anyone actually miss me, or would they just miss what I can do for them? He knows the answer, and it terrifies him. The board meeting is exactly what he expected. 12 people, expensive suits, fake smiles, everyone congratulating him, everyone wanting a piece of the deal, everyone acting like they care. But then Marcus Chen, CFO, 15 years at the company, leans forward and says something that changes everything. Dominic, you look tired. You should take a vacation. Maybe bring someone special? I hear Santorini is beautiful this time of year. Someone special. Dominic's jaw tightens. I'm fine, Marcus. Are you though? Marcus presses, smiling. You've been working non-stop since Victoria. The room goes silent. No one says her name. Not anymore. Not after what happened. But Marcus just did. And suddenly, Dominic can't breathe. The walls close in. The voices blur. The faces around the table morph into strangers. Vultures circling a dying man. He stands up. Mr. Ashford? Someone asks. He doesn't answer. He walks out of the boardroom, out of the building, out of his life. By the time anyone realizes he's serious, Dominic Ashford is already gone. You want to know about Victoria? Fine. But this story doesn't start with betrayal. It starts with hope. 3 years earlier, a charity gala, crystal chandeliers, a pianist playing something soft and forgettable. Dominic standing alone at the bar, not drinking, never drinking, when she walked up. Victoria Sinclair, 28, marketing executive, dark hair, green eyes. A smile that made him forget every Wall Street warning his father ever gave him. "You look miserable," she said, leaning against the bar. Dominic raised an eyebrow. "Do I?" "Completely, like you'd rather be anywhere else." "Maybe I would," she laughed. "Then why are you here?" Good question. Why was he here? Pretending to care about causes he'd never follow up on, shaking hands with people whose names he'd forget by morning, playing the role of, "because it's expected," he admitted. Victoria tilted her head. "That's sad, is it?" "Yeah." "You're what, 35? And you're already living someone else's life?" No one had ever said that to him before, and just like that, he was hooked. They dated for 3 years. 3 years of "I love you." 3 years of "you're the only one who understands me." 3 years of Dominic believing, actually believing, that someone saw him. Not his money, not his status, just him. He planned to propose on their anniversary, bought the ring, made reservations, rehearsed the speech. But then he came home early on a Thursday, flowers in his hand, smile on his face, keys jingling as he unlocked the apartment door, and froze. Victoria was on the phone, pacing, her voice sharp, clipped, nothing like the soft tone she used with him. "No, listen," she hissed. "I'm not throwing away 3 years just because you're impatient." Dominic's heart stopped. He's about to close the Carlyle deal. $200 million. After that, I'll have access to his accounts. Then we move. The flowers slipped from his hand. "Yes, Victoria snapped. "God, you really think I love him? He's so boring. All he talks about is legacy and responsibility. But he's useful." She laughed, a cold, empty sound. 2 more months, then I'm gone, and we'll finally have what we deserve." Dominic stood there, frozen, shaking, as the woman he loved planned his destruction. He didn't confront her. He didn't scream or beg or cry. He just left. The flowers stayed on the kitchen counter. The ring stayed in his pocket, and Dominic Ashford learned the cruelest lesson of his life. People don't love you. They love what you represent. After Victoria, something inside Dominic died. He didn't mourn. He didn't grieve. He just stopped feeling. He threw himself into work, expanded the company into 12 countries, closed billion-dollar deals, appeared on magazine covers with headlines like "The Man Who Built an Empire." But the man in those photos wasn't Dominic Ashford. It was a mask, a performance, a hollow version of who he used to be. His assistant, Gregory, tried once to talk to him. "Sir, you haven't taken a single day off in 14 months. Maybe. I'm fine. With respect, you don't look fine. Then stop looking." The conversation ended. It always did. At night, Dominic would stand on his penthouse balcony and stare at the city below. Millions of people, living, loving, laughing, and feel nothing. He had money, power, influence, but he was drowning, and no one even noticed. It happened on a Wednesday morning. Board meeting. 12 executives arguing about quarterly projections, numbers on a screen that used to mean something. But Dominic wasn't listening. He was watching Marcus Chen. Fake smile, fake laugh, fake everything, and suddenly realized, everyone in this room is Victoria. Different faces, same lie. They didn't care about him. They cared about what he could do for them. And in that moment, Dominic Ashford made a decision. He stood up. "Mr. Ashford?" Marcus asked, confused. Dominic didn't answer. He walked out of the boardroom, out of the building, out of his life. By Friday, he was gone. No note, no explanation, just a single email to the board. "Indefinite leave. Gregory will manage operations. Do not contact me." He withdrew cash, bought a used car under a fake name, drove north for 6 hours until the skyscrapers disappeared and the world turned quiet. And that's how Dominic Ashford, billionaire CEO, empire builder, broken man, vanished. Greystone Harbor, population 8,000, famous for nothing. The kind of town people pass through but never remember. Perfect. Dominic rented a studio apartment above a laundromat, paid 3 months in advance. Told the landlord his name was Dom. Just Dom. No last name, no title, no past. For the first time in years, Dominic Ashford was no one. And it felt like he could finally breathe. He found the cafe on his 3rd day, a small corner shop with chipped paint and a handwritten sign, fresh coffee and kindness served daily. Inside, old wooden tables, mismatched chairs, the smell of cinnamon and warmth. And behind the counter, her, 28, dark hair pulled back, tired eyes, a smile that somehow still felt real. "Morning," she called out. "What can I get you?" Dominic hesitated. He hadn't ordered his own coffee in how long? Just black coffee. She raised an eyebrow. "Brave. Most people need sugar to survive my brew." Despite himself, he almost smiled. "I'll risk it." She poured the coffee, slid it across the counter. "That'll be—" Wait. She paused, studying him. "First time here?" "Yeah." "Then it's on the house. Welcome to Greystone Harbor." Dominic stared. "You don't have to. I know. But I want to." She smiled genuinely and turned to the next customer. Dominic stood there, holding the free coffee, completely confused. When was the last time someone gave him something without wanting something back? He couldn't remember. And that's when he realized, maybe he'd finally found a place where no one knew who he used to be. Day 4. Dominic walks into the Morning Light Cafe at 7:15 a.m., same time as yesterday, and the day before. Elena looks up from the espresso machine and smiles. Not the polite smile you give strangers, but something warmer. Like she's genuinely happy to see him. "Morning, Dom. Black coffee?" He nods, still not used to the sound of that name. Dom. Simple, clean, no weight attached to it. She pours without asking for payment. Again. "You know I can pay, right?" Dominic says, reaching for his wallet. Elena waves him off. "I know, but maybe I don't want your money." "Then what do you want?" She pauses, coffee pot still in hand, and looks at him with those dark, perceptive eyes. "Maybe I just want you to keep coming back." The words hang in the air between them. Dominic doesn't know what to say, so he takes his coffee, sits in the corner by the window, and watches her work. She moves through the cafe like a dancer who's forgotten the steps but keeps moving anyway, pouring coffee, wrapping pastries, chatting with regulars. But every few minutes, when she thinks no one's watching, her smile falters. Her shoulders sag. The exhaustion shows. And Dominic wonders, what is she carrying? Day 9. The cafe is unusually quiet. Just Dominic, Elena, and an old man reading a newspaper in the corner. Elena brings him his coffee, but this time she doesn't walk away. She leans against the table, arms crossed, studying him. "Can I ask you something?" she says. Dominic tenses. "Depends on the question." "What are you running from?" Direct hit. He almost lies, almost says, "Nothing. I'm not running." But something about the way she's looking at him, not judging, just curious, makes him pause. "What makes you think I'm running?" he asks instead. Elena shrugs. "You've got that look, like you're hiding, like you left something behind and you're not sure if you want it to find you." Dominic says nothing. She smiles gently. "It's okay. Everyone here is running from something. That's why they end up in Greystone Harbor. This town is where people come when they don't want to be found. And you?" Dominic asks. "What are you running from?" Her smile falters, just for a second, but he sees it. "Life," she says quietly. "I'm running from life catching up." Before Dominic can ask what that means, the bell above the door chimes. A group of construction workers walks in, and Elena straightens, her mask sliding back into place. "Duty calls," she says, and disappears behind the counter. But Dominic sits there, coffee growing cold, replaying her words. "I'm running from life catching up. What does that mean?" Day 12. Dominic arrives at the cafe and finds it different. Elena's smile is strained, her movements are slower, and when she hands him his coffee, he notices something he should have seen before. Her hands are shaking. "You okay?" he asks. "Fine," she says quickly, too quickly. "Elena?" "I said I'm fine, but she's not." He can see it in the way she grips the counter, the way her breath catches. The way her eyes flicker toward the door like she's waiting for something terrible to walk through it. Dominic wants to push, wants to ask, but he doesn't, because he knows what it's like to carry something heavy and not want anyone to see. So instead, he just says, "If you need anything." Elena looks at him, really looks at him, and for a moment, the mask drops completely. "Thank you," she whispers. And Dominic realizes something dangerous. He's starting to care. Day 15. Dominic is walking past the cafe at 9 p.m., later than usual, when he sees the lights still on inside. Through the window, he spots Elena, alone, sitting at one of the tables with her head in her hands. She's crying. He should walk away, mind his own business, keep the walls up. But he doesn't. He pushes the door open. Elena looks up, startled, quickly wiping her eyes. "Dom, what are you? We're closed." "I know." He sits down across from her. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. I'm fine." "You're crying." "I'm not." Her voice breaks. She covers her face with her hands. Dominic waits, silent, present. Finally, Elena speaks. "My mom is sick." The words fall like stones. "Heart condition," she continues, voice thick. "She needs surgery, but the insurance won't cover it. And I don't have the money. I've been working double shifts, saving every penny, but it's not enough. It's never enough." She laughs bitterly. "And today the landlord said if I don't pay rent by the end of the month, we're out. So I've got 2 weeks to come up with $3,000, or my mom and I are homeless." Dominic's chest tightens. "How much do you need?" he asks. "For the surgery?" Elena looks up surprised. "What? How much?" $47,000. She shakes her head. "But it doesn't matter. I can help." The words are out before he can stop them. Elena stares. "What?" Dominic freezes. Mistake, if he offers money, she'll ask questions. Questions he can't answer. "I mean, I can help you figure something out," he says quickly. "Maybe there's a payment plan, or—" "Dom." Elena reaches across the table and takes his hand. First physical contact. Her hand is small, rough from work, trembling slightly, but warm, real. "You barely know me," she says softly. "Why would you help?" Dominic looks at their hands, hers holding his, and realizes he doesn't have a good answer. Or maybe he does, and it scares him. "Because you gave me free coffee," he says, trying to lighten the moment. Elena laughs through her tears. "That's a terrible reason." "Best I've got." She squeezes his hand. "Thank you, really. Just knowing someone cares, that's enough." But it's not enough for Dominic. That night he makes a decision. Day 17. Dominic does something he swore he wouldn't do. He uses his real identity. He calls Gregory, his assistant back in the city, from a burner phone. "Sir?" Gregory's voice is shocked. "Where have you been?" "The board has been—" "Listen carefully," Dominic interrupts. "I need you to do something, and you can't ask questions." Silence. There's a woman, Elena Torres, lives in Greystone Harbor. Her mother needs heart surgery, $47,000. "I want it paid, anonymously." "Sir?" "No questions, Gregory. Set it up through a medical charity. Make it look like she won a grant or something. And make sure it can't be traced back to me." "Understood. Anything else?" Dominic hesitates. "Her rent, $3,000. Pay it. Same rules. Consider it done." Dominic hangs up, staring at the phone. He just broke his own rule. He got involved, but for the first time in years, he doesn't regret it. Day 19. Dominic walks into the cafe and immediately knows something's different. Elena is glowing. She practically runs to him. "Dom, you won't believe what happened." "What?" "A charity, some medical foundation. They called yesterday. They're covering my mom's surgery. All of it. Can you believe it?" Tears streamed out her face, but she's smiling. "They said I was selected for a grant. I didn't even apply, but they found me somehow. And—" she throws her arms around him. Dominic freezes. Caught off guard. He can't remember the last time someone hugged him, really hugged him. Not a business handshake or a polite embrace, but a genuine, desperate, grateful hug. Slowly, carefully, he hugs her back. "I'm so happy for you," he says, and means it. Elena pulls back, still beaming. And that's not all. Some anonymous donor paid our rent for the next 3 months. 3 months, Dom. I don't know who, I don't know why, but I feel like maybe the universe doesn't hate me after all. She laughs, wiping her eyes. Dominic smiles, a real smile, small but genuine, and thinks, This is what money should be used for. Not deals, not power, not empire building. This. Day 23. It's raining. Dominic forgot an umbrella. He's about to run the 3 blocks back to his apartment when Elena appears beside him, holding a bright yellow umbrella. Come on, she says, grinning. I'll walk you. You don't have to. I know, but I want to. There's that phrase again. They walk in comfortable silence, shoulders almost touching under the small umbrella. Rain drums overhead. The streets are empty. Halfway to his apartment, Elena speaks. Can I tell you something weird? Sure. I feel like I've known you forever. Isn't that strange? You've been here less than a month, but it feels like, I don't know, like you've always been here. Dominic's throat tightens. Not strange, he says quietly. I feel it too. Elena looks up at him, rain dripping from her hair, and smiles. And in that moment, wet, cold, standing under a yellow umbrella in the middle of nowhere, Dominic Ashford feels something he thought he'd lost forever. Hope. Day 28. Dominic is at the café when his burner phone rings. He freezes. Only one person has this number, Gregory. He glances at Elena. She's busy with customers, and steps outside to answer. What is it? Gregory's voice is tense. Sir, we have a problem. Victoria Sinclair has been asking questions. Dominic's blood runs cold. What kind of questions? About your whereabouts. She's been calling the office, trying to reach you. She says it's urgent. Tell her I'm dead. Sir, I don't care what you tell her, Gregory. Just make her go away. Silence. There's more, Gregory says carefully. The board wants you back. The Marino Group deal is falling apart without you. They're threatening to let it fall. Sir, if you don't return soon, they might... I said let it fall. Dominic's voice rises. I don't care about the deals, the company, any of it. I'm not coming back. He hangs up, breathing hard, hands shaking. When he turns around, Elena is standing in the doorway, watching him. Dom? Elena's voice is careful, cautious. Is everything okay? Fine, Dominic says quickly, shoving the phone in his pocket. Just old business. Old business? She steps closer. Dom, who were you talking to? No one. It didn't sound like no one. It sounded like... She stops, studying his face. Who are you? Danger. What do you mean? I mean... Elena crosses her arms. You show up out of nowhere. You have expensive clothes hidden under worn-out jackets. You speak like someone educated, powerful. And now you're on the phone yelling about companies and deals and... Elena, are you in trouble? Are you hiding from something illegal? Because if you are, no. Dominic steps forward. I'm not a criminal, I promise. Then what are you? He wants to tell her, wants to explain, but how? Hi, I'm actually a billionaire CEO who faked my own disappearance because I couldn't handle my life anymore. Surprise! I'm just someone who needed to disappear for a while, he says carefully. Elena stares at him for a long moment. Then she nods. Okay. Okay? Yeah, okay. She sighs. We all have secrets, Dom. I'm not going to judge you for yours. Just promise me you're not dangerous. I'm not. And promise me you'll tell me the truth. Eventually. Dominic hesitates, then nods. Eventually. Elena smiles. Small, uncertain, but there. Good enough. Day 32. Elena approaches his table with a nervous smile. So, my birthday is next week. Dominic looks up. Yeah, and I'm having a small party. Nothing fancy. Just some friends, my mom, cake, very low-key. She fidgets with her apron. Would you want to come? Dominic's heart skips. A birthday party. Normal people stuff. The kind of thing he hasn't done in years. You sure? He asks. You barely know me. Elena grins. That's the point. get to know you better. And just like that, Dominic Ashford, billionaire, CEO, broken man, agrees to go to a birthday party. What could possibly go wrong? Day 38, Elena's birthday. Dominic stands in front of his closet, if you can call 3 shirts and 2 pairs of jeans a closet, trying to decide what to wear. His instinct screams, call Gregory, get a suit delivered, show up looking proper. But that's not who he is anymore, at least not here. He picks the least worn jacket, the cleanest jeans, and his old boots. He looks in the mirror and sees exactly what Elena's friends will see, a nobody. And for some reason, that terrifies him more than any boardroom ever did. The party is at Elena's apartment, a small 2-bedroom on the 3rd floor of an old building. Dominic climbs the stairs, hearing laughter and music spilling through the doorway. He hesitates. You don't belong here. But before he can turn back, the door swings open. Elena. She's wearing a simple blue dress, her hair down for once, and she's smiling so wide, it makes his chest ache. Dom, you came. She grabs his hand and pulls him inside. Come on, I want you to meet everyone. The apartment is packed, maybe 20 people crammed into a living room that barely fits 10. Music plays from a phone connected to a speaker. A homemade banner reads, Happy Birthday, Elena, in uneven letters. It's loud, chaotic, the opposite of every carefully orchestrated gala Dominic ever attended. And somehow, it feels more real. Everyone, Elena shouts over the music. This is Dom. He's new in town. Be nice. A chorus of greetings, handshakes, smiles. But Dominic notices something else. The stares. Not welcoming, not friendly. Judgmental. People glancing at his worn boots, his old jacket, his rough appearance. Whispering to each other. Raising eyebrows. A woman in her 30s, too much makeup, tight dress, leans toward her friend and whispers loudly enough for Dominic to hear. That's the guy she's been talking about? Him? Her friend giggles. I thought she said he was interesting. Interesting? He looks like he sleeps under a bridge. Laughter. Dominic's jaw tightens. He's used to judgment. But this is different. Because these people don't know who he is. They're not judging Dominic Ashford, CEO. They're judging Dom, the man with nothing, and it burns. But Elena doesn't seem to notice, or doesn't care. She stays by his side the entire time, introducing him, laughing at his awkward attempts at small talk, making sure he has food and drink. You okay? She whispers at one point. Yeah, Dominic lies. Just not used to crowds. She squeezes his hand. Me neither. Want to escape to the balcony for a bit? Yes, please. They step onto the small balcony, barely big enough for 2 people, and the noise fades behind them. The city stretches out below, quiet, distant lights flickering like stars. Elena leans against the railing, looking out. Thank you for coming, she says softly. I know this probably isn't your thing. What makes you say that? She glances at him. You've got that look, like you're used to, I don't know, something different. Dominic says nothing. Can I ask you something? Elena continues. And you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Okay, who were you before you came here? There it is, the question he's been avoiding. Dominic stares at the city lights, weighing his options. He could lie, deflect, change the subject, or he could tell her the truth. But before he can decide, a voice interrupts from the doorway. Elena, your mom wants to say something. Elena smiles apologetically. Sorry, hold that thought. She disappears inside, leaving Dominic alone with his secrets. Inside, the music stops. Elena's mother, Margaret Torres, 62, frail but fierce, stands in the center of the room, leaning on a cane. Excuse me, everyone, she says, her voice soft but commanding. I just want to say a few words. The crowd quiets. Margaret looks at Elena with so much love, it's almost painful to watch. 30 years ago, I held my daughter for the first time, and I made a promise. I would give her the best life I could, but life had other plans. She pauses, steadying herself. We've struggled, lost jobs, lost homes, lost people we loved. But through it all, my Elena never stopped smiling, never stopped caring, never stopped giving, even when she had nothing to give. Elena's eyes fill with tears. And this year, Margaret continues, when I got sick, I watched my daughter work herself to exhaustion, trying to save me. She never complained, never gave up. She just kept going. She turns to the crowd. But here's what I learned. A person's worth isn't measured by their bank account. It's not measured by their job or their clothes or their status. Her gaze lands on Dominic. It's measured by their heart. Silence. So when I see someone like Dom, she gestures toward him. Someone who showed up here tonight, who sits with my daughter every morning, who treats her with kindness when so many others have treated her like she's invisible. I see worth. I see value. Margaret's voice cracks, and I see the kind of person I want in my daughter's life. The room erupts in applause, but Dominic can't move, can't breathe, because for the first time in years, someone looked at him, the real him, stripped of wealth and power, and saw something worth keeping, and it breaks him. Later, after the cake and the singing and the gifts, Dominic finds himself sitting on the couch, surrounded by people who are slowly warming up to him. But he's not really there. He's replaying Margaret's words over and over. A person's worth isn't measured by their bank account. But what if your bank account is all you've ever had? Elena sits beside him, close enough that their shoulders touch. You okay? She asks quietly. You've been quiet. Your mom, Dominic says, his voice rough. What she said. I know she can be a bit much. No. He looks at her. She was right. Elena tilts her head, studying him. Dom, who hurt you? The question catches him off guard. What? Someone hurt you. Elena says softly. I can see it. The way you hold yourself. The way you flinch when people get too close. Someone made you believe you weren't enough. Dominic's throat tightens. I'm right, aren't I? He doesn't answer. Can't answer. Elena reaches over and takes his hand, just like she did that night in the café. Whoever they were, she whispers, they were wrong. And just like that, the wall cracks. Not shattered, not destroyed, but cracked. And for the first time in 5 years, Dominic Ashford lets himself believe that maybe, just maybe, he's worth more than his empire. Day 41. 3 days after the party, Dominic is walking back to his apartment when his burner phone rings. Gregory. This better be important, Dominic answers. Sir, we have a serious problem. The tone in Gregory's voice sends ice through Dominic's veins. What kind of problem? Victoria knows where you are. Everything stops. What? She hired a private investigator. I don't know how, but they tracked you to Greystone Harbor. Sir, she's on her way. She'll be there tomorrow. Dominic leans against a wall, his mind racing. Why? Why would she? The company, sir. Without you, the board is falling apart. Stock prices are dropping. She knows if she can get you back, she can profit, Dominic finishes bitterly. Of course. Silence. Sir, there's more. The board is threatening to declare you mentally unfit if you don't return. They're preparing paperwork to remove you as CEO. If you don't come back in the next 72 hours, you lose everything. Dominic closes his eyes. The choice. Go back. Reclaim his empire, his money, his power, or stay. Keep hiding. Keep pretending. What do you want me to do, sir? Dominic doesn't answer, because he doesn't know. That evening, Dominic goes to the café. He needs to see Elena. Needs to, what? Tell her? Warn her? He doesn't know. But when he walks in, Elena immediately sees something's wrong. Dom, what happened? Nothing. His phone rings. Not the burner. His real phone. The one he thought he'd turned off permanently. Dominic stares at the screen. Victoria Sinclair. His blood runs cold. Elena sees his expression. Dom, who is it? He steps outside to answer, his hands shaking. What do you want? Victoria's voice is smooth, calculated. Hello, Dominic. Miss me? How did you get this number? Oh, please. You think disappearing would actually work? I know everything, darling. Where you are, what you've been doing, who you've been spending time with. Threat. Stay away from me, Victoria. Or what? You'll keep playing pretend in your little fishing town? Come on, Dominic. This is pathetic. You're a billionaire CEO, not some sad nobody drinking cheap coffee. I'm done with you, with all of it. Are you, though? Her voice turned sharp. Because I've done my research. That little waitress you've been mooning over, Elena Torres, she's drowning in medical debt. Her mother's surgery barely scratched the surface. Did you know she's one bad month away from losing everything? Dominic's jaw clenches. Here's my offer, Victoria continues. Come back. Take control of the company, and I'll make sure Elena and her mother are taken care of, permanently. Medical bills paid, rent covered, comfortable life. All you have to do is stop this ridiculous charade and come home. And if I don't, then I'll make sure everyone in that pathetic town knows exactly who you are. The lies you told, the life you faked. How do you think your precious Elena will feel when she finds out you've been lying to her this entire time? Silence. Tick-tock, Dominic. You have until tomorrow night to decide. She hangs up. Dominic stands there, phone in hand, world crumbling. When he turns around, Elena is standing in the doorway. Again. Dom, Elena's voice is shaking. I heard everything. No, Elena. Dominic? She steps closer. Your real name is Dominic? He says nothing. And you're a CEO? A billionaire? Still nothing. Answer me. Her voice cracks. Was any of it real? The coffee? The conversations? The party? Or was I just some charity case for a bored rich guy looking to feel good about himself? No, Dominic steps forward. Elena, please, don't. She holds up a hand, tears streaming down her face. Don't lie to me anymore. I never lied about how I feel. But you lied about everything else. She laughs bitterly. God, I'm so stupid. I thought you were different. I thought you saw me. I do see you. No, Elena shakes her head. You saw a project, someone you could fix, someone who made you feel better about your miserable, empty life. That hurts, because part of him wonders if she's right. That's not true, Dominic says quietly. You reminded me what it feels like to be human again. And what about me? Elena's voice breaks. What about what I feel? Did you ever think about that? About how humiliating this is? About how everyone's going to look at me when they find out I was too dumb to see through your disguise? Elena, just go. She wipes her eyes. Go back to your empire, your money, your fake life. Because clearly, that's where you belong. She walks back into the café and locks the door, leaving Dominic standing alone in the rain. That night, Dominic sits in his tiny apartment, staring at his two phones. One call could fix everything. One call to Gregory, and he'd have cars, lawyers, and security here within hours. He could reclaim his life, his company, his power. But what about Elena? If he goes back, Victoria wins. The woman who destroyed him gets exactly what she wants. But if he stays, Elena hates him. The town will find out. His cover is blown. Lose-lose. Unless Dominic picks up his real phone and makes a call. Not to Gregory, to his lawyer. Sir? The lawyer sounds confused. It's 2 a.m. I need you to draft papers, Dominic says. I'm stepping down as CEO, effective immediately. What? Sir, you can't. I can and I am. Transfer my voting shares to Gregory. He'll manage the company. Set up a trust for ongoing operations. And make sure Victoria Sinclair is permanently removed from any company dealings. But sir, your fortune. Keep enough for me to live comfortably. Donate the rest. Medical charities, housing programs, scholarship funds. I don't care. Just make sure it goes to people who actually need it. Silence. And one more thing, Dominic continues. Set up an anonymous trust for Elena Torres and her mother. Medical expenses, living costs, education, whatever they need. Forever. But they can never know it came from me. Sir, are you sure? Dominic looks out the window at the sleeping town. Is he sure? He just gave up billions, his company, his identity, for a woman who might never forgive him. Yeah, he says quietly. I'm sure. Day 42. Victoria Sinclair steps out of a black town car, designer heels clicking on the pavement, looking around Greystone Harbor like she's entered a third-world country. "This is where he's been hiding," she mutters to her assistant. Pathetic. She heads straight for the Morning Light Cafe. Inside, Elena is working, mechanically, numbly, trying not to think about Dominic. Whoever he is. The bell chimes. A woman walks in. Expensive clothes, perfect makeup, predatory smile. "Excuse me," Victoria says sweetly. "I'm looking for someone. Tall, dark hair, probably going by Dom." Elena's stomach drops. "Who's asking?" Victoria's smile widens. "An old friend. Is he here?" "No." Shame. Victoria looks around the cafe with barely concealed disgust. So this is where Dominic Ashford has been slumming it? How? Quaint. Elena's blood runs cold. "How do you know?" "Ugh, sweetie." Victoria leans against the counter. "I know everything. I know he's been lying to you, playing pretend. Did he tell you he's worth $3 billion? Or did he forget to mention that part?" Elena says nothing. "Let me guess," Victoria continues. "He played the humble, broken man, made you feel special, made you think you could fix him." Direct hit. "He's good at that," Victoria says, "making people feel important. But here's the truth. Dominic Ashford doesn't care about anyone but himself. He certainly didn't care about me when he abandoned me without explanation." "Maybe you gave him a reason," Elena says coldly. Victoria's smile falters. "Excuse me? I heard the phone call. I know what you did. So maybe he didn't abandon you. Maybe he just finally saw who you really are." Silence. Victoria's expression hardens. "You have no idea what you're talking about, don't I?" Before Victoria can respond, the door opens. Dominic walks in. But he's not wearing old clothes anymore. He's in a suit, expensive, tailored, his hair styled, his posture different. He looks exactly like what he is, a CEO. "Victoria," Dominic says coldly, "leave, now." Victoria's eyes light up. "There you are, finally done playing dress-up?" "I said leave. Or what, you'll call security?" She laughs. "Dominic, stop being dramatic. We both know you're coming back. You can't survive out here. You're not built for this. Simplicity." "You're right," Dominic says, quietly. "I'm not built for simplicity." Elena's heart sinks. "But I'm also not built for your world anymore," he continues. "So here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get back in your car, drive back to the city, and never contact me again." "And why would I do that?" "Because as of this morning, I'm no longer CEO. I've transferred control to my assistant, and I've made sure you'll never have access to Ashford Global again." Victoria's face goes pale. "You, what?" "I gave it up. All of it." "You're bluffing. Call my lawyer if you don't believe me." Silence. Victoria stares at him, realization dawning. "You gave up billions for her?" She looks at Elena with disgust. "A waitress?" "No," Dominic says firmly. "I gave it up for me, because I finally figured out what actually matters." Victoria's expression twists into rage. "You're pathetic." "Maybe, but at least I'm free." She glares at him for a long moment, then turns on her heel and storms out. The door slams behind her. Silence. Elena and Dominic stand on opposite sides of the cafe. "You gave up your company," Elena says quietly. "Yeah." "Why?" Dominic takes a breath. "Because I realized something. For 5 years, I built my entire identity around money and power, and it made me miserable. But then I came here, and for the first time, someone looked at me, just me, without the suit and the title, and thought I was worth knowing." Elena's eyes glisten. "You gave me something I thought I'd lost forever." Dominic continues, his voice breaking. "You made me feel human again. And I know I lied. I know I hurt you. But everything I felt was real." "How do I know that?" Elena whispers. "How do I know you're not just saying what I want to hear?" Dominic reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small piece of paper. A receipt from the cafe, dated 6 weeks ago. "The first coffee you gave me," he says. "I kept it. Because it was the first time in years someone gave me something without wanting anything back. And I knew, even then, that you were going to change my life." Elena takes the receipt, hands trembling. I don't need you to forgive me, Dominic says. I don't even need you to trust me. But I need you to know, everything I told you about how I feel was true. You saw me, the real me, and that's worth more than any empire. Silence. Then slowly, Elena steps forward. You're an idiot, she says. I know. You gave up billions of dollars. I know. For a waitress from a nowhere town. For the woman who saved my life, Dominic corrects softly. Elena's eyes fill with tears, and then she kisses him. The cafe is busier now. New paint on the walls, new tables, a bigger menu, but it still feels the same. Warm, welcoming, real. Dominic, just Dom now, stands behind the counter, pouring coffee. Elena appears beside him, laughing at something a customer said. Margaret sits in the corner, healthy now, knitting and chatting with regulars. You happy? Elena asks. Leaning against Dominic, he looks around the cafe, at the mismatched chairs, the chipped mugs, the handwritten specials board. At the life he built from nothing. Yeah, he says, I really am. Elena kisses his cheek. Good, because you're stuck with me now. Best decision I ever made. She grins and heads back to the counter. Dominic watches her go, a smile on his face. Outside, the morning mist rolls through Greystone Harbor, and somewhere in the distance, a piano plays softly. The same melody from the beginning. Because some stories don't end, they just begin again. The seasons have changed in Greystone Harbor. Spring has arrived, painting the town in soft greens and yellows. The harbor sparkles under morning sun. Birds sing from rooftops. Life continues its quiet rhythm. The morning-like cafe looks different now, but not too different. Fresh paint covers the exterior, a warm cream color that catches the light just right. The handwritten sign has been replaced with a professionally carved wooden one, but the message remains the same. Fresh coffee and kindness served daily. Inside, the mismatched chairs are still there. The vintage cash register still sits on the counter. But there are new touches, framed photos on the walls, showing moments captured over the past year. A small bookshelf in the corner with free books for customers. A bulletin board covered with thank you notes and community announcements. And behind the counter, working side by side, Dominic and Elena. Not Dom anymore. Everyone knows who he is now. The story spread through town months ago. The billionaire CEO who gave it all up for love. Some people whispered, some judged, but most just shrugged and kept coming for the coffee. Because good coffee doesn't care about your past. Elena wipes down the counter, humming softly. On her left hand, a simple gold band catches the light. They got married 3 months ago. Small ceremony. Justice of the peace. Margaret crying happy tears. 20 friends from town. No press. No photographers. Just love. Dominic appears from the back room, carrying a tray of fresh pastries. Something he's surprisingly good at baking now. These need to cool for 10 minutes, he says, setting them down. Elena kisses his cheek. Look at you. Former CEO, now master baker. I contain multitudes. She laughs. That sound still makes his heart skip. Margaret enters from the storage room, moving stronger now, her health fully restored. She's become the cafe's unofficial grandmother, chatting with regulars, offering life advice, making sure everyone feels welcome. Morning rush starts in 5 minutes, she announces. Are we ready? Always, Dominic says, and he means it, because this simple life of coffee and conversation and community is more fulfilling than any boardroom ever was. But Dominic hasn't completely left his old life behind. He just redirected it. After stepping down as CEO, he used the remaining portion of his wealth to create something new. The Second Chance Foundation. The mission is simple. Help people who've lost everything start again. Financial support for those escaping abusive situations. Job training for the formerly incarcerated. Housing assistance for families facing eviction. Scholarships for students who aged out of foster care. All the people the world gave up on. The foundation operates quietly, without fanfare. No galas, No press releases. Just direct, meaningful help. Dominic runs it from a small office above the cafe. Just him, a laptop, and a deep desire to turn his pain into purpose. Elena often jokes, "You went from managing a billion-dollar empire to managing a nonprofit out of a closet-sized office. Most people call that a downgrade." "Most people are wrong," Dominic always replies. Because for the first time in his life, his work actually matters. Not to shareholders, not to the market, to real people. This morning, Dominic has a video call scheduled with the Foundation's latest success story, a single mother in Ohio who used their housing grant to escape homelessness and is now enrolled in nursing school. "Mr. Ashford," she says through the screen, tears in her eyes, "I don't know how to thank you. You saved my family." "You saved yourself," Dominic corrects gently. "We just gave you the tools. You did the work." After the call ends, Dominic sits quietly, staring at the screen. This is what wealth should be used for. Not building empires, building hope. It's a Tuesday morning, slow day at the cafe, when the bell above the door chimes. Dominic looks up from the espresso machine. A man walks in, late 30s, expensive suit, but wrinkled, like he's been wearing it for days. Designer shoes caked with mud, hair disheveled, eyes hollow. He looks exactly like Dominic did a year ago. Broken, lost, running. The man approaches the counter slowly, like he's not sure he belongs here. Coffee. Black. Please." His voice is rough, exhausted. Elena smiles warmly. "Coming right up." But Dominic is frozen, staring at this stranger. Because he's not seeing a stranger. He's seeing himself. The man sits in the corner table, the same table Dominic used to sit at, and stares out the window with that distant, haunted expression Dominic knows too well. Elena notices Dominic watching. "You okay?" she whispers. "Yeah, that guy. He reminds me of someone." "Who?" "Me." Elena follows his gaze, understanding dawning. "You should talk to him," she says softly. "I don't know. Dom." She squeezes his hand. "You know exactly what he's going through. Maybe he needs what you needed. Someone to see him." Dominic hesitates, then nods. Dominic pours 2 cups of coffee and walks to the corner table. "Mind if I sit?" The man looks up, surprised. Sure." Dominic sits, sliding 1 coffee across the table. "On the house." The man stares at the cup. "Why?" "Because someone did the same for me once, and it changed my life." Silence. The man picks up the coffee, hands shaking slightly. "I'm Dominic, by the way, but most people here just call me Dom." "Nathan," the man says quietly. "Nathan Pierce." "What brings you to Greystone Harbor, Nathan?" Nathan laughs bitterly. "Running. Hiding. Pick your poison." Dominic nods slowly. "From what?" "Everything." Nathan stares into his coffee. "My company collapsed 6 months ago. Lost everything. My wife left. My friends disappeared. Turns out when you're not useful anymore, people stop pretending to care." Every word hits like a mirror. "So I got in my car and just drove. Ended up here, middle of nowhere. Perfect place to disappear." Dominic says nothing for a long moment. Then, "Can I tell you something?" Nathan shrugs. "A year ago, I sat in that exact chair," Dominic says, pointing to where Nathan sits. "I was running too, from a life that looked perfect on the outside but was killing me on the inside. I had money, power, success, everything society says you're supposed to want, and I was drowning." Nathan looks up, really looking at Dominic for the first time. "What changed?" he asks. Dominic glances at Elena behind the counter and smiles. "I stopped running from who I was and started running toward who I wanted to be." Nathan studies Dominic carefully. "Wait, Dominic, you said your name is Dominic?" His eyes widen. "Holy, you're Dominic Ashford, the CEO who disappeared." Dominic nods calmly. "Used to be." "Used to be? You were worth billions. I had nothing," Dominic interrupts quietly. "I had money, but I didn't have a life." Nathan leans back, processing. "And now? Now I have this." Dominic gestures around the cafe. "A wife I love, A community that accepts me. Work that actually matters. I'm not rich anymore, at least not the way people measure it. But I'm happy. For the first time in my adult life, I'm actually happy. You gave up billions? For this? No. Dominic meets his eyes. I gave up billions for me. This was just what I found when I stopped chasing what everyone else said I should want. Nathan stares at him, something shifting in his expression. You know what the funny thing is? Dominic continues. When I had everything, I felt worthless. But here, making coffee, baking bread, helping people through my foundation, I finally feel like my life has meaning. Foundation? The Second Chance Foundation. We help people who've lost everything start over. Nathan's throat tightens. People like me. People exactly like you. Over the next 2 hours, Dominic and Nathan talk about failure, about loss, about the terrifying freedom of having nothing left to lose. Elena brings them lunch, homemade soup and sandwiches. Refusing payment from Nathan. First one's free, she says with a wink. House rules. Nathan watches her walk away. She doesn't know who I am. Does it matter? I used to think so. I was Nathan Pierce, founder of Pierce Technologies. Without that title, who am I? Maybe that's the question you're supposed to answer, Dominic says gently. As the afternoon light slants through the cafe windows, Dominic makes a decision. Nathan, I want to offer you something. What? A job. Here, at the cafe. Nathan blinks. What? You need time to figure things out. A place to breathe. This cafe, Dominic gestures around, it's more than just coffee. It's a refuge for people who need to remember what it feels like to be human again. I don't know anything about running a cafe. Neither did I. Elena taught me, and I'll teach you. Nathan shakes his head. Why would you do this? You don't even know me. Because a year ago, someone showed me kindness when I deserved nothing, and it saved my life. Dominic leans forward. Let me pay it forward. Silence. Nathan's eyes fill with tears, the first emotion he's shown all day. I don't know what to say. Say yes. Stay in Greystone Harbor. Work here. Figure out who Nathan Pierce is when he's not defined by success or failure. And when you're ready, when you found yourself again, you can decide what comes next. Nathan wipes his eyes roughly. And if I'm never ready? Dominic smiles. Then you make really good coffee for the rest of your life. Worse fates exist. Nathan laughs, a broken, hopeful sound. Okay, he whispers. Okay, yes. Spring turns to summer. Nathan Pierce becomes a fixture at the Morning Light Cafe. At first, he's awkward, spilling drinks, forgetting orders, apologizing constantly. But slowly, gradually, he finds his rhythm. Dominic watches it happen, the transformation. Nathan's shoulders straighten, his eyes brighten. He starts smiling at customers, making small talk, remembering regulars' names and orders. One day, Dominic catches him laughing, really laughing, at something Margaret said. That's the moment Dominic knows Nathan is healing. And then one morning, she walks in. A woman in her early 30s, paint-stained jeans, tired eyes, artist's hands. She orders a latte. Nathan makes it, carefully, precisely, the way Dominic taught him. When he hands it to her, their fingers touch briefly. She smiles. Thanks. Anytime. She sits in the corner where Dominic used to sit, where Nathan sat that first day, and pulls out a sketchbook. Nathan watches her, something shifting in his expression. From behind the counter, Dominic nudges Elena. You see that? He whispers. See what? History repeating itself. Elena follows his gaze and smiles. Think it'll happen? I think broken people have a way of finding each other. Over the following weeks, Nathan and the artist, her name is Claire, fall into their own routine. She comes every morning, orders the same drink, sits in the same spot. He makes her coffee. They exchange small smiles. Gradually, those smiles turn into conversations. Dominic doesn't interfere, just watches from a distance, remembering. This is how it starts. One evening, after the cafe closes, Nathan approaches Dominic. Can I ask you something? Always. Claire, the artist who comes in every morning, I think I'm falling for her. Dominic smiles. Yeah, but I don't know who I am yet. I'm still figuring out my life. Is it fair to bring someone into that? Dominic thinks back to a year ago. To Elena seeing him at his lowest and choosing him anyway. Nathan, the best relationships don't happen when you have everything figured out. They happen when you meet someone who makes you want to figure it out. Nathan nods slowly. She doesn't know about my past, about Pierce Technologies, about the failure, about any of it. Does she need to? Shouldn't I tell her? Eventually, maybe. But right now? Dominic shrugs. Right now, she knows Nathan, the guy who makes her perfect lattes, and asks about her art. Maybe that's enough. Nathan smiles. When did you tell Elena? When I had to, when keeping the secret hurt more than revealing it. And she stayed? She stayed. Hope blooms in Nathan's eyes. It's a crisp autumn morning, 1 year and 3 months since Dominic first disappeared. The cafe is quiet, just the soft hum of the espresso machine and distant piano music from the speaker. Dominic and Elena stand behind the counter, watching the sunrise paint the harbor gold. Nathan is at a table with Claire, showing her something on his phone, probably photos of a business idea he's been developing. A fresh start, a new dream. Margaret sits nearby, knitting, occasionally offering unsolicited but wise advice. We did it, Elena whispers. Did what? Created something real, something good. Dominic pulls her close. We created a cycle. What do you mean? He nods toward Nathan and Claire. Look at them. That's us a year ago. Broken people, finding each other, healing together. Elena smiles. You think they'll make it? I think they have a chance. Just like we did. The bell above the door chimes. A new person walks in, mid-40s, expensive coat, exhausted eyes. Another runner, another lost soul. The person approaches the counter hesitantly. Nathan looks up, catches Dominic's eye. Dominic nods subtly. Your turn. Nathan stands, walks to the counter, and smiles at the newcomer. Then it's on the house. Welcome to Greystone Harbor. The person stares at the free coffee confused. Why? Nathan glances at Dominic, who nods encouragingly. Because someone did the same for me once, Nathan says softly, and it changed my life. From across the cafe, Dominic watches Nathan guide the newcomer to that corner table, and sit down to talk. Elena leans against him. He's going to be okay, isn't he? Better than okay. He's going to help someone else, just like we helped him. A chain reaction of kindness. Exactly. Margaret joins them, smiling proudly. You know what you've done, don't you? What's that? Dominic asks. You turned pain into purpose, loss into legacy. You took the worst thing that ever happened to you and used it to save others. Dominic's throat tightens. That's what real wealth is, Margaret continues. Not money, not power, but the ability to lift someone else when they're falling. Elena squeezes Dominic's hand. And in that moment, Dominic Ashford, former CEO, current cafe owner, forever healer, realizes something profound. His empire never made him rich. But this cycle of kindness, this legacy of second chances, this makes him wealthy beyond measure. The camera slowly pulls back, through the cafe window, past the morning mist rolling through Greystone Harbor, over the rooftops and the harbor, higher and higher, until the cafe becomes a small point of light in a vast world. Voiceover. Every ending is a beginning. Every fall is preparation for flight. Every lost soul is just waiting to be found. The camera descends again, back to the cafe, back through the window, back to that corner table. A new person sits there now, the one who just arrived, staring out the window with hollow eyes. Nathan sits across from them, talking quietly, offering hope. And at the counter, Dominic and Elena watch, arms around each other. Elena, think we'll ever stop finding broken people? Dominic, I hope not. Elena, why? Dominic, because broken people are just unfinished miracles. They just need someone to believe in them long enough for them to believe in themselves. Elena kisses him softly. Outside, the piano melody plays, the same melody from the very beginning, and the cycle continues, forever.